A parliament packed to the rafters, a moment they've waited 14 years for. As Rishi Sunak slipped in and took his new seat in opposition, it was barely even noticed. While MPs waited for proceedings to begin, a quick moment for pleasantries between the new and old guard. And then the pomp and pageantry of a new parliament.
To declare the opening of Parliament, desire the presence of this honourable House.
First, the reselection of the Speaker. Lindsay Hoyle dictated by tradition to be dragged reluctantly to a seat he relishes.
I now call the Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer.
May I too welcome each and every one of the new members who is here for the first time starting their great responsibility.
From the victor to the vanquished.
I now call the Leader of the Opposition, Rishi Sunak.
Can I start by congratulating the Prime Minister on his election victory? And as he takes on his formidable task, he and his family deserve the good wishes of all of us in this House. Let me begin with a message to those who are no longer sitting behind me. I am sorry.
This new parliament is the most diverse by race and gender in history. It has a record number of new MPs, 335, and one who has been trying to get in here for 30 years.
Nigel Farage.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker-elect, thank you very much indeed. We are the new kids on the block. We have no experience in this parliament whatsoever, even though some of us have tried many times over the years previously to get here.
From the formalities to the formation of policy. And today another symbol of Conservative rule banished to history. The words levelling up.
In the end, levelling up was a slogan. It was on the signs of government buildings, but it wasn't felt in communities across the country. And what we're committed to do, and you'll see the Metro mayors are in Downing Street around the table today working in partnership, is to make sure that our agenda for government is felt in every community right across the country.
Those Metro mayors gathered on the steps of Downing Street before heading in for their first meeting with the new Prime Minister today, and only one of them a Conservative, Tees Valley Mayor Ben Houchin, though he was given a prime seat when inside.
I'm a great believer in devolution. I'm a great believer in the idea that those with skin in the game, those that know their communities, make much better decisions than people sitting in Westminster and Whitehall.
While Labour start trying to build the nation they envisage, a subset of Tories are trying to rebuild the party they hope for at a meeting of the group Popular Conservatism. Popular Conservatism, isn't that the Reform Party now?
That's a very good question. I mean, I think the Reform Party is saying some of the things that the Conservative Party ought to be saying and that are clearly popular, and that was one of the reasons the Conservative Party did poorly at the general election.
For the new Prime Minister, though, a new task, launching himself on the global scale at his first NATO summit.
The most important thing at the moment is to, at this NATO summit, recommit to our solidarity with and standing with Ukraine and discuss the practical plans for further action that we can take together in relation to Russian aggression.
After 14 years, Labour are stepping out of the shadow of their long history in opposition, and Sir Keir Starmer will take his place on the world stage.
And I'm happy to say that Paul is here with me now. We've been standing here for a couple of hours, Paul. It's quite interesting, isn't it? You see no longer Tory MPs carrying out their boxes of belongings, and then the new arrivals not knowing where to take their boxes yet, but they've got big smiles on their faces.
Yeah, around here today it's always been like being trapped in a play on the rise and fall of civilization. So on the one hand, we saw Rishi Sunak there shuffling into Parliament, his smile a little bit more forced, the power in his voice just a little less, and his MPs have been utterly devastated. Now we've got the job of replacing him, and even that process has sort of, in fact, I won't describe it to you, so selecting the chair of the 1922 today, coming out of that committee of backbenchers trying to set the new chair, Mark Francois said, quote, the 1922 committee competency levels have reached a new low. This was bent, because there was a bit of a mix-up on the timing, so Mark Francois, Jeremy Hunt, didn't get to vote. Then they've got to decide the rules by which they pick the new leader, and when do they pick that new leader. And talking to MPs today, they're really real fickle about this. A lot of them thought, let's have a really long drawn-out process. Quote, let the bloodletting happen over the summer, then decide after conference. Now they're worried about, well, if we don't have a new leader in place before there is a possible autumn statement. Well, Nigel Farage then has an opportunity to start becoming the de facto leader of the opposition, which they don't want. So already you've got reform shaping the Conservatives and their thinking. And all the while, you can't move for tripping over yourself of Labour MPs taking selfies of themselves. And as we speak right now, their leader is literally jetting off into the sunset, about to announce himself on the world stage.
Okay, well, let's look at the piece. Oh, no, actually, world stage, I'm sorry. I thought you had a piece there, but you don't. We're going straight to Washington, to the destination, where Siobhan Kennedy is outside the pre-summit dinner, where President Biden will be hosting those foreign leaders, including our freshly minted Prime Minister. Siobhan.
Well, yes, world leaders will be descending on a heavily fortified Washington, D.C. Keir Starmer will be among them. He is due to arrive later this evening, which means he will miss a rather lavish dinner being hosted by President Biden in that lovely big opulent building there behind me, but he will get a chance to sit down for his first one-on-one meeting with the president tomorrow. He will also be sitting down with Ukraine's President Zelensky. Ukraine, of course, being one of the key focal point of this meeting, especially in light of the shelling of the Children's Hospital there yesterday. Biden will certainly want to take a lead in this summit here in the next few days, and he will want to present a united NATO front against Vladimir Putin. The big question, though, is whether or not Biden can present a united front here domestically. Earlier today, Democrats met for the first time to discuss the Biden crisis since that terrible debate in Atlanta. There was a hope that they might emerge united, but as you're about to see, that is not what happened.